The term military analyst is not a legally protected term. It's not like doctor. It's more like economist. You know, any asshole can start calling themselves one and fart out a vaguely plausible opinion on the current situation.
So Cappy was outside doing work, winterizing, right? The winter is coming. Man, it's over there. I am putting together a manual, an operations manual for my house. One for the house sitter to watch, and then anybody who would happen to buy my house when I'm old. Like, here's all the things, the insurance. I think it's a very important thing to have, not just for the resale value, but for myself. Like, oh, here's the checklist come springtime, spring cleaning. These are the things you got to turn on and off. And if you're ever wondering, what is the first thing you should turn on after being away from your house for a while? Every Microsoft Windows machine, because it's going to update. You won't be able to use the internet. That's the very first thing. Then you typically move on to recharging vehicles and dead batteries, turning on the water. Just saying, I've done this. Trust me, young kids. I'm a middle-aged man, and I know things through experience. So it's the reverse. Okay, you got to winterize the house. Shutting off the exterior valves, all that other stuff. And so I'm taking it's a cold, windy, blustery day, and I'm taking the meat heater, the grill. I am getting old. The grill. I'm taking the grill off, putting it in the shed because we're not going to grill. You don't want it to blow off. And so I'm doing all these things. I got a list. I got a checklist. It's not the only thing I do. And I was sitting here thinking that this is a lot of labor. Now, I do it because this is what a good homeowner does. You maintain your property. I'm probably more on the more responsible side because I want to maintain my investment. I'm looking around all the landscaping I did and the fixing up and a ton of caulk. Oh, man. Gone through a ton of caulk. Not caulk. Although I do have some black caulk in the garage. Just saying, things are a little exciting out here in South Dakota. Just maintenance and all that. It's a lot of labor, And I do it, primarily maintain the investment at home, but I do it. There's the woman, she's sitting inside because it's cold and blustery. Now, she does her own thing. She cooks and does most of the cleaning and the maintenance. Oh, my God, shock, division of labor. And we don't fight each other over what, because she's looking at me like, I don't want to be out there in the cold bluster. I don't want to be changing spark plugs or cutting that tree down. I don't want to be out. I want to be in here. And then when I'm down here yelling at the internet, I don't want to be up there moving the food and cutting raw chicken and shit like that. She's doing that, and I'm appreciative of it. We don't get into what is nothing more than a truly petty and childish whining and complaining about, he doesn't do enough chores. Do you know men just sit on their ass and don't do any chores? I clean the toilet. Shut the fuck up. This is why you should always force your woman at least once or twice to fix her own car. Well, here's the YouTube and here's my tools. Have fun, sweetheart. Bye. Oh, and then surprise, all the complaints. Well, you didn't vacuum. It doesn't happen. That's what, when mature adults, that doesn't happen. But I do it in part, love the gal. I don't want her out here doing it. I'll take care. I got you, babe. I got this covered. Well, I was out there lifting sandbags because you got to keep some of the things down. I got a little carpet on them. I don't want to blow away, but I'm too lazy to take it in, so I put sandbags on it. Anyway, it reminded me of another friend I had, female friend, younger, and she started dating hot and heavy this cop. And the cop, like her, was younger than me. I think he was like 30, late 20s, early 30s. And having worked with the police department, not being a cop myself, but working with police and security work and, roughly the same age as a lot of guys who went to the police academy when we were younger, what you would do as a cop, rookie cop, to get experience and make some extra money, you put in for overtime, right? The old-timey cops, they're old. They have families and nagging wives that complain. You're just putting your life at risk, but you didn't vacuum. So, you're a piece of shit husband of a cop or cop of a husband. They got to go spend time with kids and complaining wife. You spend too much time at work. Go watch Heat. You'll see what I'm talking about. So they go take Christmas off, and then the young cops, typically because they're union, like, I'll volunteer. Yeah, it's not as busy on Christmas night or Thanksgiving night. The old timers, they can't stay up, they can't pull doubles. Young cops can, yeah, I'll get the extra money. I want to work up a little bit, get the overtime, time and a half, double pay, depending on what kind of arrangement your union negotiated. It was just a given young cops would bust their ass off and try and bake as much overtime, work up a down payment for a home. And then maybe in the later 30s or 40s, then you kind of, when you got your family, then the next generation young cops come and cover you, take a shift for you. So I said, oh, does he work a lot of overtime? It's like, oh no, he doesn't work any overtime. I'm like, young guy don't work any overtime. What are you talking about? She's like, oh no, he just works enough to get by. I'm like, wait a minute. He can work overtime. What? Oh yeah, they keep asking him. Does he get time and a half, double time? I think they get time and a half. I'm like, what, a handsome hourly wage to begin with. Like, he doesn't work overtime. I was like, yeah, he doesn't want to do it. I said, really? She's like, yeah, a lot of the cops, the young cops, they're not doing overtime. They're not, they're having, they got to get more cops. They have to hire more, right? But there is gone, or maybe not totally gone, are the days, but less frequently is it that your young cops are putting in for some OT and taking the shifts of some of the old timer cops. And this kind of correlates with the Zoomer millennial lie flat, labor force participation rate going down, hours worked per week going down. But it was more like a principle for this guy. Like, where he's like, no, I'm not doing overtime. And then the lightning gods hit me with a bolt of lightning. See, I'm just a conduit from the economist gods. Okay. The economist gods are up in the sky. I am merely their prophet. I am merely their messenger. I'm not the one with the brilliance. They say, here's our lightning rod. He is the prophet through which we will speak. Let us send a bolt of economic wisdom lightning down to our conduit, Aaron, and he will spread the word to the people. And then they'll burn him at the stake anyway because he told them the things they didn't want to hear. And then I will smite them, said the economic gods. I will give them DEI and inflation. And then they'll say, but. No buts. You're all going to be poor with your inflation. Shut the fuck up. You smited my prophet. So the bolt of economic wisdom came down from the lightning, or the economist gods. And I said, oh, shit. What if men don't work overtime anymore? And I'm like, oh, shit. That's a young man's game. Because I remember working overtime, right? If you got the sweet spot, if you timed it just right, I mean, we'd stay up 24 hours straight working. So we'd hit 40 hours. Then if you could do it, you'd stay up another 4 hours, where the next time you wake up, bam, midnight on 1, Thanksgiving Day, you get 2.25 because you're already at overtime. And then you're on holiday pay. And then you were making bank. You were making the good money. And you thought the girls were going to date you because you were making, what was it? It was like $18 an hour in the 90s. That wasn't bad. Of course, didn't get us the girl. We thought we were living large. We thought, man, look at that. I'm almost earning a living wage. Anyway, it then dawned. Now I'd have to do some research, right? I'd have to do some research. But typically in times past, young men would do overtime for many reasons. Get out of debt, if you got a college degree, make more money, got nothing else going on, down payment for a house, right? You have the energy, you don't have a family. And if you got young cops not taking overtime, then it was like, oh my God, that's got to be happening all over the economy. Because y'all complaining, we can't find people. I would say, like, you probably, it's tooth pulling to get people to do overtime. And if it's impossible for people to do overtime, that is directly affecting GDP per capita. That's directly affecting economic growth. And not just because of the actual production, but you get more money. Like, oh, I have more money to spend, if you believe in the multiplier effect, which I don't. But I was like, what if you were to remove overtime? And I'm sure maybe someone's done that. I'm sure if I pulled it up, but I don't have to go do the research to say You guys are up even more shit creek than you were before in demoralizing hang on. You know what? No, I already have the answer. Remember doing the research for Myron's book. Men work 10% more hours than women. So I'm just going to assume men are let's look it up. All right, I'm curious. Who works more overtime, men or women? I'm going to guess it's men. Okay. 28% of men work overtime every day compared to 13% of women. All right, there we go. And if you've demoralized men, forget even the women. This guy's got a girl. This guy, he gets women. It's not even that. He's just like, nah, I don't need it. Not going to have kids. I'm not going to work and slave my ass off, right? Corporate America proved to everyone that, yeah, you're not going to pay us enough to live. Go fuck yourself. We're lying flat. We're quiet quitting. People saw Office Space. Scott Adams before that exposed you all. And we all worked for you. Now everyone, the wisdom is finally getting down to the younger generation. Like, yeah, we're not doing it. Now, if you want to throw in the sexes, because I got to imagine women are working less overtime as well. I don't see why you girls would be motivated with current incentives that employers in America give you. But you throw in the, shall we say, hostile relationships, the unkind environment between men and women, especially how women treat men, especially younger men. What? Dude, I bet you somewhere out there's a labor economist who has this data. And he or she are like, holy shit, it tanked. Because why would men work overtime? I have a lot of them living at home. They're not going to get a fancy home. They've given up on the dreams. Thankfully, I think the Zoomers are being less materialistic. Gotta get bottle service, bro. I think that's kind of going away. The nightclubs are going away. They don't need that much money. I was listening to some guy. I think he's Indian, East Indian, and he's got a British accent. And he's along the same lines of minimalism and all this other stuff, and you don't need and do without. And he's got a pretty good following on the end. I should like it's SCG or SGC or something like that. In other words, the younger generations are like, yeah, we're not doing this corporate bullshit. We're not slaving away. You throw in at least half of them saw their dads get divorced, right? It didn't dawn on me. Yeah, men are already demoralized for participating in society. You guys got the Scooby-Doo mystery. Oh, why are the men working? There's 7 million or 5 million or whatever it is. Prime age working men. We don't get it. We don't need you. Fuck off and don't look at us. You hate. Oh my God, we hate. I can't figure out why the men aren't working. We got the always available Professor Fuckwitz from Harvard University Sociology Department. Well, we just didn't kick him in the nuts enough. We gotta hate men more. You see, it's a reverse psychology. Don't know why men aren't working and working less hours. But then overtime, I was like, dude. And here's what I have to do more research. And a labor economist who specializes in the field could probably tell me directly. I mean, if you guys go back to the day when you were young, sometimes you just give it the old college try, right? You pull an all-nighter or you have a project. I'm going to fucking focus on this thing and you'd work. See, like, I know it happens to me with my books. I don't work no 40 hours a week on my books. I hate writing. I hate reading. I hate English. Aaron, aren't you an author? Yeah. I learned the art of doing shit you hate to get paid lots of money. The rest of you haven't figured it out either. Anyway, I knuckle down 80 to 100 hour work weeks and get that shit done. And I'm wondering how much not only raw production, like what disproportionate percentage of raw production is done by people working overtime, but how many innovations and creations are done like that? We're going to knuckle down and we're going to solve this engineering problem so that we can make the oil pump through the pump faster and not freeze or whatever. How much innovation was whatever them 1700s inventors, Thomas Edison, like him just tweaking around with the light bulbs, right? Let's try this. Let's try this. He wasn't doing no 40 hours a week. And if you take away that key innovation, creation, hardcore work of labor, you pull that out of the economy. Now, overtime is measured in GDP because you were compensated, right? That goes into GDP. But then it dawned on me, okay, so men are pulling back their overtime, but largely they would do that for a family or maybe for the prospects of getting a house and all that. But if they're demoralized from that, well, they're also demoralized. I'm sorry, you gals don't moralize men, you don't invigorate men. You demoralize them. You take the wind out of yourselves in today's economy and society. And that's fine. You don't have to like cheer on men. No one said, thou shalt cheer on men and be nice to them. You can be insufferable pains in the asses. But don't be surprised when the guys don't work overtime. And then it dawned on me, yeah, I ain't getting married. But if you do get married, don't complain when the guy ain't like working on your house. And then I started thinking, well, wait, what about all it's not black market economy. It's not underground economy. It's household labor is what it is, right? For example, ladies, sit the fuck down. Oh, God. Oh, God. God, Jesus. Remember Mark? Oh, God. Okay. I'm about to say something. You women are going to be pissed off. This is the most pissed off thing this century that's ever going to be said to you women. Did you know men were cleaning and cooking before they met you? Did you know that? Oh, my God. We weren't curled up in a ball, shitting our adult diapers, not knowing how to bathe or shave or how to do did you know that? I'm sorry. I apologize tremendously. But even though you didn't think it was so, we were just like shitting our pets, feral animals, throwing spears and rocks at each other. Before you came along and got your current man, we were just fine. We would clean our own houses, Mom. Maybe not to your standards, maybe too much to your standards. It depends on your opinion of cat piss. Okay? Some women like the smell of cat piss and others don't and clean it up. These are choices. I'm not judging. I'm just saying. Men, all of us, would clean our apartment or our homes, right? Well, you don't get paid for that. You should just clean your toilet because you don't want to smell like shit, right? You should clean. I was always a very biological cleaner, right? I would clean the dishes. I didn't want to buy a lot. I don't want food or shit or feces or urine, male, human or cat, right? Human or pet. So yeah, I'd have like clutter. I'd have papers, things. In my old place, I was writing on the walls like a whiteboard. I'm like, I'll just paint over it, which I did. There's a wall there with a bunch of my notes somewhere under 5 layers of paint. But I kept it clean, right? But I'm not compensated for it. Same thing, cooking. Yeah, you could go out and pay a chef to cook, but you're going to go home and cook yourself, which most young guys do. If you could believe it, ladies, if you could believe it, men could not only shower and bathe and clothe themselves, they were also completely capable of feeding themselves. We didn't look at a fork and say, what the fuck is this? And then you came along, and then the light, and then it was like Neo in the Matrix. Oh, I use it to put food in my mouth. Thank you, lady person. I couldn't have figured this out on my own. But you're not compensated for preparing your own food. And so I got an article here I was going to write, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have an effect on your standards of living, right? Now, I would argue it maintains a basic standard of living, cleaning, maintaining your car, flushing the toilet. Well, we had to flush our toilets and the evil patriarchy didn't pay us. I don't think it drastically improves your standards of living, but let's say you're a busy guy or gal, you would pay a maid. You don't have time to clean it. Or, you're really short on. You would inevitably, but you pay a maid. Now, your standard of living, at least in terms of the home, is the same, right? But instead of you doing the labor, you paid someone to do the labor. And in that transaction happening, that is now not only recordable GDP, economic production, and therefore growth, it's also a taxable event. So I love it when these women, we should get paid for being mothers and staying at home and flushing toilets. Oh, so you'd like to get taxed. You would like to be taxed. Is that what you'd like? You'd like to turn it into a transaction. So But it doesn't it doesn't mean it's not true. When you do household maintenance, whether it's the guy mowing the yard or the wife doing the dishes, it does improve your standards of living. You have just decided to do it voluntarily. If you were to pay someone else to do it, yes, then a market wage would be paid to it. And one could feasibly argue, well, that should be included in GDP. But for me, just being me, maybe I'm a wicked dickhead economist. Maybe you should just be cleaning your house anyway. Like, that's not a brand new Ferrari, right? Doing regular maintenance on your car, that's not, "Ooh, we got a brand new television." This is just shit, cooking your food, washing the dishes. This isn't slave labor. This is shit you should be doing as an adult, regardless of who you are. But then I thought, now that men and women are kind of going their own separate ways, and then I'm out there doing the thing and the stuff. I was like, okay, well, men in times past, if they were married to a wife, I mean, that's why you go and work hard. You bring home the bacon and you go to war because you love your family. I would also say men were more motivated, probably through sex more than love, but probably a little bit of both. Like, I know one guy who absolutely loves his wife, the shit he does for her. And I'm not slamming on him. She's a wonderful woman. This is an older couple. Old people used to fall in love. You young people don't do it anymore. And he's like, why can I get out of you? And an exceptional few people, they're boomers still alive today. Some of the few boomers that actually loved each other, if you can believe it. This guy has doted on every wish, made the home exactly the way she wanted, tailored and landscaped the yard. It's love. It's love. It's not beta. It's love. And she dotes on him and takes care of him. It's almost the way it should be. But I was like, that guy is highly motivated and kind of akin to the overtime. If a guy has a family or a loved one, a woman to invest in, I bet you he's out there fixing the house more than he would be in his bachelor hut, right? And you could kind of see it. There's that meme going around. Men think it's perfectly all right to live like this, and it's a chair with a TV and a PlayStation in front of it, or maybe a mattress on the floor. And if we were to use like the average bedroom between a man by himself and a man married, there's almost 3 to 4 times the amount of non-compensated labor, right? If it's just you, guy, you're just sitting there sleeping. You got your PlayStation and all that. But if you got a woman and you like her, that's the key thing, and you like her, well, you're probably going to you're going to assemble the nicer bed. You're going to assemble the nice little side desks. You'll also contribute more to the economy to get the money to buy the things that you would need to make a nicer home or to some other way show your love for your wife or woman. But there's going to be an equivalent amount, if not more, that you go through to, in general, maintain a home or just do nice things for your woman. Now, that could be, I mean, men, if you girls looked at it and you saw what men did to the home, oh, he fixed that. He put in this. Repairs and oh, yeah, we're going to get that. Like for me, I'm not kidding. If I didn't have my girl, I wouldn't have a fridge. I'd have like a little cube fridge. I wouldn't have an oven. I wouldn't even have a dishwasher. I would go back to my bachelor. I'd just have like a sink. I'd have one fork, one spoon, one bowl, one dish. But by God, do I love her so much? We went out and bought new Walmart dishery, cutlery, whatever, dishes. I mean, it's only like 5 plates, but they're all blue and they match, right? But that's more than what I would have before. 5 times, quintuple the amount of economic production. And if I'm just by myself and there's some random lady that needs help, I'm not going to help her. My girlfriend gets her, yeah, I'll come pick you up. Yeah, I'll fix the thing. And this is where I know in here, I'll show you how biased it is. When I searched women's economic production at home, this is bullshit. The AI economic value of unpaid work done by women at home is estimated to be between 10%. I could see that. Yeah, maybe a little bit more, and 60% GDP. Get the fuck out of here. Housework does not account for the majority of the economy. This is where you got to realize, like, oh, yeah, doing dishes and vacuuming and cleaning a home, that's 60% of the economy. Fuck auto production, fuck airplane production, fuck flights, fuck restaurants, fuck the education system, fuck construction. Nope, it's washing dishes. And then here, U.S. impact according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, including the value of household production and GDP. So this would be men and women, would have added approximately 3.8 trillion to the U.S. economy in 2010. And then, and I'm not, again, I'm going to read this article here because it is true. What it's more of a statement of is economists trying to overestimate. They're trying to do their jobs too well. Right? I would look at, in other words, men and women have been maintaining their homes for time immemorial. You feeding yourself as opposed to being served by a waiter, that really shouldn't be contributing. It's considered GDP. It really shouldn't be. But that doesn't mean doing these basic things like wiping. I mean, real. I asked the economist, is wiping your ass? Do we want to, well, wiping your ass is, you might have, because you do when you're old, people do wipe your ass. Should we apply a market wage to a functional man or woman wiping their ass? This is where I'm like, yeah, you should probably mow your yard, and that's not GDP. Yeah, you should clean. Fabuloso is the best for floors, by the way. Let me help you, young, aspiring, home-owning bachelors. It's Fabuloso. Windex. Oh my fucking God. Okay, I'm going to save you so much time right now, guys. Look, okay. You need to get original Windex. Now, Windex, because they listen to a bunch of yappy yaps at customer service surveys. I don't like ammonia. I heard it caused cancer because Bipsy the Bopsy in the mouth of the South, she said that everything causes cancer, so I'm getting rid of everything. So then you go buy this Windex that doesn't have the ammonia, still blue, still lined here. That's the Windex I remember that got everything clean. And you grab it, and it's a sludge, and it smears. It doesn't clean anything. You need, I don't know, Mrs. Breyer's soft and organic. No, you need the cancer-producing ammonia-full Windex. All right, and you got to look. Make sure it doesn't say ammonia-free. That's like saying girls with no tits. No. Ice cream without sugar. No. Caramel rolls without butter. No. You need the Windex with ammonia. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything clean. And I don't care how many know-nothing women go, oh, but it causes cancer and shrink testes. Good, fine. At least I'll have a clean set of windows and countertops and a toilet. Anyway, the theory's still true. Your standards of living are better, shock, cleaning your house and flushing your toilets and picking up the cat litter. Is there an economic value that could be attached to it? I suppose. But you should be doing this stuff anyway. So there's some research went back, and there's some interesting numbers here. From the Bureau of Economic Analysis, what is the value of household work? In 2012, this was written. The Nobel Prize winner Simon Kuznets presented an original set of estimates to Congress in 1934 that contained a number of caveats about what was omitted from the calculation of national income and later from the calculation of gross domestic product that made it an imperfect measure of welfare. One of the principal omissions they cited was the services of housewives and other members of the family. Although the hours men contribute to household production have risen, while those of women have declined, it is still true that the exclusion of household production of men or women causes a significant understatement in the level of domestic production. If you care to measure such a thing, again, are we going to attach a market value to wiping our ass? Turns out Mr. Kuznets was correct. New research by the Bureau of Economic Analysis was found that if the value of household production were included in gross domestic product, GDP, it would approximately add $3.8 trillion to the U.S. economy in 2010. Cool. All right, fine. A research paper in the May issue of the Survey of Current Business found that if home production, the value of time spent cooking, cleaning, watching the kids, and forth were counted in, it would raise the level of nominal GDP. Now notice, do you see mowing yards? Fixing cars, patching the roof, patching the sheetrock, replacing the washer? No. because there's a bias in society. This is why I hate the chore argument. Men's chores are thrown completely out the fucking window. And when you see, I think there's some veracity. I don't think this is just an obscure set of TikTok girls whining and bitching for clicks. If you look at articles and divorce reasons and all that, you didn't help with the chores. I'm like, yeah, okay, define chores for me. And you can see the bias right here. Like, okay, so the guy went and worked his ass off. Then he had to repair, I don't know, the dishwasher. Is that included in the? Oh, no, it isn't. Which is why I even have a video called "The Chore Argument is a Chore." This isn't worth doing. I immediately dismiss it. We're counted to raise the nominal level of GDP nearly 26% in 2010. So here's the Bureau of Economic Analysis, which back then I would not disagree. So you're saying prorated at market rates, which is exactly what they did to figure out how much GDP would increase by. You're saying that accounts for 26% GDP because it's already being done. If you had to pay someone else to do it, then there would be other money not spent. So in other words, doing it for free and not getting taxed. You're saying in measures of standards of living, not lost money or anything. That accounts for 26% of our standards of living. It's an interesting statistic. Cleanliness accounts for 26% of standards of living. I guess for some, yeah. I could kind of say, I don't think it's worth 26% of GDP. I don't think I doubt that we could all magically increase our standards of living if we had magic robot, like Rosie from the Jetsons to do all of our cleaning. I don't think you'd be 26% happier or 26% more financially stable, but it's not an insignificant amount. It sure the fuck ain't 60. I think it's a little bit more than 10. A pretty good, I'm sure, intellectually honest and sound attempt that it was 26. I'm just saying that seems a little bit high. Back in 1965, when fewer women were in the formal labor force and more were working in the non-market share sector, GDP would have been raised by 39%. I find that hard to believe. So 40% of GDP was simply home maintenance? 4 and 10, no, it'd have to be $4 and $14 because you're comparing it to the nominal. That still seems like an awful lot of weight we're putting on just cleaning a house and maintaining it. And keep in mind, that's just women's production, right? I want to know, were women up on the ladder putting in shelving? Were women rewiring the house? And that's why I'm like, okay, they haven't even, now maybe somewhere some economist has measured male home production in that, but I'm sure they haven't. But if these are the numbers we're putting up, 26%, 39%, little high. What if men just stopped doing their shit? What if men weren't replacing the fire alarms? What if men weren't fixing the cars and changing the tires? And going back to my original assessment that a man who has a woman to invest in is probably going to do 3 times the amount. Because, we're bachelors. Yeah, okay, I'll fix the car. I'll do the basics. I ain't doing anything fancy. That barter, essentially, economy, that standard, I can't say economic production because you weren't paid for it. That increase in standard of living, which I got to imagine is the same, if we're going to use the same metrics, is let's just call it a quarter, 25%. That's gone. You girls don't get that no more. You get to go and pay for that now. In times past, your husband or your man would have done the plumbing for you. Not anymore. In times past, the man would have helped you out with your car or something. Not anymore. And I cannot help but think that is having an effect on standards of living that will not be shown in GDP. The decrease in overtime, that will be shown in GDP. That could be measured. Heck, you could talk to the police department and say, show us your budget for overtime over each year. I guarantee you, as a percent of the police force, because, police, they grow and shrink, it would be going down. But I would also claim the non-compensated labor men do for women, especially married, and then let's just also admit there's fewer marriages. So by that fact alone, but helping out your girlfriend or a girl you're dating, that is shrinking Men are right, girls? Men aren't helping you out. They're not buying dates anymore, right? Which one would argue is a wealth transfer if you're paying for dates. Men aren't helping you move as frequently. Men are staying home and playing video games. I remember a while ago, I hope this person remembers it. It was a girl. My friend invited me over. She was a party girl and she was having trouble finding a job. And she was going to move to California, I think it was. And she was working at the Red Stag. That's closed now. No, she had her going away party at the Red Stag, and it was a fundraiser to help her move. Why? Because she didn't work up the production. And you know what? Every guy was over there helping her and helping her raise money because she was hot. My friend included, like, yeah, you should go over here. She's really hot. And I'm like, okay, well, I was right across the street over at the Times Cafe, which was a jazz club back in the day. Atham, look it up. And I went over there, and there she was, like center of the attention. Every guy, that's kind of dwindling. And I'm not saying there aren't guys that want to, okay, Peggy, so I'll help you move. I mean, there's simps a million out there. But the marriage component is done. The guy who made a beautiful house for his wife, that's not happening anymore. The guys that are dating and all that, yeah, no, I'm not in. Plus, you girls told all these guys to major in emotions and feelings and DEI and journalism, right? So these guys don't even know how to use a hammer. What was it? 30% of millennial men don't own a hammer? Some ridiculous amount. So they couldn't even do it if they wanted to. And that just as, yes, a woman staying home and doing house maintenance and cleaning does improve your standards of living. The men making sure the home doesn't fall apart, making sure the car don't fall apart, mowing and other traditionally classically male, that's gone. And I would say more gone than women's home maintenance is gone, because you all have to maintain the home, right? We all have to clean, despite you girls thinking we just grabbed our feces and threw it against the ground and ran around like a bunch of apes, barely surviving before you came along and taught us how to wipe our ass, use the fork. But guys, we go down like, I'll do it for myself. I can fix my own car. I can come up with I could create a box string with some pallets I found in the alley that they were throwing away at the bar. I could figure some shit out. But men are okay with that. I don't know if that really affects our standard. You could say, well, a nicer bed would be 3 times the standard. I suppose so, but I'm unconscious when I'm sleeping in it, so I don't know. But yeah, if you take men's, I wrote the book A World Without Men. I just removed male GDP from the economy, removed men from the population, and said, how much electricity per capita, because it's all women at that time, how much road construction, how much housing, square footage per capita. Oh my God, you girls are so fucked. That's not an opinion. You are so fucked without us. But I was like, well, wait, that's a theoretical, right? But it's not theoretical that men are working less overtime. And it's not theoretical. Men ain't doing, girls no more favor because we're not married. And you're usually not around, and men are just less inclined to. And that is definitely going to have it. Because now you girls, instead of like, Sammy the simp comes, I'll fix your electricity for you. Like, no, I'm not fixing you. Like, no, I got video games to do, man. And you get to pay an electrician, it's a $400 bill, and you get to pay that. Now, that does go to GDP. So one might argue the lack of non-compensated male investment in women forces women to go into the formal market and pay for it, which then, even at higher rates now, because men used to do it, but now, so one, maybe on the secondary effect is it does end up in GDP anyway, because you do have to pay a guy to do it. So maybe the GDP, it's captured in the real economy because there was a transaction, but your standards of living actually go down. So you got the opposite happening. Women's standards of living is going down because you got to pay for it. That $400 could have gone. No, you're right. You would have spent that money on something else. So nominal GDP stays the same. You just spend it on different things, not luxurious as you'd like. And then your real standards of living go down because instead of getting whatever, What gives you girls purpose and joy in life? A handbag, a $400 handbag. Because if you open it, it's not, you guys don't know this about handbags. You go, oh, women in their handbags. Oh my God. You don't understand, guys. When they open up the handbag, the happiness and love is inside the handbag. It's like when you guys open up your Pokemon cards, the cards are inside the wrapping. So what are girls is getting a handbag for? It's the love and happiness is inside. And they take it like Indiana Jones does the relic and looks at it. Ah, 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 ah. Dun, 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 dun. And then she gets love and purpose and meaning. And then she puts it. And that's why women are so happy, because the love and purpose and meaning is inside the bag. No, they don't get that. They gotta pay Herman, the electrician. They definitely don't want to fuck with his crack or whatever, plumber crack, even though he's an electrician, just to get their lights to work. So I would say the standards of living actually do go down, because you had guys that normally who were invested in you on a romantic, they're gone. So the overtime is gone because men are becoming more minimalist. They're abandoning consumerism, and without family or love, kids, well, what's the reason? And then also without family or a woman around, well, who am I going to repair? And that's there really is, the older I get. If you girls want to find a guy, you should go find the guy that like makes the house for you and mows the yards and fixes things and does it so that your estate, your place is wonderful, is nice. Like if you were like, oh my God, he's out there mowing, I should maybe make him a hot bowl of stew when he comes. But cooking, oh my God, not the cooking. Jesus, no, not the cooking. Anything, God Almighty, he suggested women cook. Someone get the fucking CIA and kill him. I'm sorry, ladies. I didn't mean to suggest that you be nice and cook for your man. That's awfully horrible. Go pay someone to cook for him because it's beneath you. And that way it contributes to GDP. Okay, there you go. So, very specific to the topic of a world without men, an analysis of an all-female economy. You don't need no girls. You know what? When we said we don't need no what? You don't need no cars. You don't need no electricity. You don't need no roads. You don't need no shelter. You don't need no gas. What don't you need? No. You're going to have a lot of social workers and teachers. You're going to have a lot of social work and journalism majors. You'll have a lot of DEI consultants. That'll be your entire economy. Apparently, you don't need no food because I think it's like 89% of farmers are men. But ew, don't invest in them, ladies. Farm, ew, they're old and grow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I have to live in Nebraska. I don't want to live in Nebraska. All right. World Without Men, available on whatever it's called. All right, I got to get going here rather quickly. John Turkey, no super chats. Hold them for later. $5. What happened to the 1910 farm wife that could chop wood, kill a chicken, make dinner with? Those women were stronger than today's men. Yeah, and that, well, most of your GDP wasn't compensated. You would eat your stuff. You would, live off your 2 acres of land or however much you had to live off of. And it was mostly self-consumed, self-sustaining. So there wasn't some market farmers would sell their stuff to the market. Dale Gribble, $2. Get really good at saying, I don't know, fellas. John Turkey Lurkey Smith, $5. I work all the time and write interspecies Nebraska on the side because I'm a dumb ox that doesn't know any better. I must be a minority. We're all dumb, John. We all didn't know what we were doing. We just were walking around, grabbing our junk, painting creatures up on the caves. And only until women came into our lives did we discover what a toilet was. Dale Grizzle, $2. And the party continues another 4 years. Ken Rose, $2. He says, hi, Ken. Unkono, $2. Misogyny. Yes. Rakesh Patel, $5. I think he's a new guy. Thanks for your spot on recommendation. Had a recent spectacular trip motorcycling. Oh yeah, they're right next. Yeah, 89. While stopping by Alvaro's in the Look at this guy. Look at 3. He gets on a motorcycle. He does Southern Utah, and then he stops at Alvaro's, and he's a happy man. Stick with me, kids. Just do his. This is not like I told him eat his Brussels sprouts and diet and exercise. I said, get on a motorcycle, go eat Alvaro's and ride around Zion National Park. Hokey redneck, 50 generous dollars. Cap, you going to marry your current girl? You see how nice and light that hand is? I get to do whatever I want. There's no legal risk of me losing all my shit. No, I like sex too much to marry her. Hey. By the way, thank you very much. Driss Crab, 10 British pounds. Housework isn't GDP. Women have a negative fiscal impact. They dominate fake jobs in HR, admin, office work. Yeah, and if you were to back out nonprofit, non-productive work, it'd even be worse. And that's not BS. Drist is citing some economic research both here and in New Zealand. I think women have like a negative net value of, was it 40,000 or 140,000? And it's not necessarily their fault. Women live longer than men, and that's the main reason. But yes, you can find that. That's in Myron's book, Why Women Deserve Less. Service sector is oversaturated. The pseudo sector is artificial demand stimulated by debt. Therapy is one where I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. And Bob, $5, you're right. If everything is going right for me, I'm going to buy a trailer and RV traveling around the U.S. Yeah, you're not going to build a home or now I'm going to take my girlfriend out for dinner because she's a good woman. She's nice. She cooks all the time. She's the one that made me fat. One time I didn't fit into my pants. And I'm like, you did this to me. Your pepperoni bacon lasagna with jalapenos. Oh. Yeah, you find the right girl. Oh, build her to the house. Make sure she get the right girl, which is exceptionally rare. Absolutely. Make sure all the cars run efficiently. But the average one? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And if women are complaining about chores, no. Big old sign right there. All right. A world without men and an analysis for the all-female economy. We'll see you guys later. I will accept not only my Nobel Prize in economics later on this year for you Nobel laureate, for the Nobel Committee. I'll expect the Nobel Prize for this one. I'll also expect the Clark Medal in economics. Thank you very much. See you guys later. Toodles.